Hey dudes, Reagan with Texas Defense Articulations here again with some more 1911 content. I have myself a nice little gem here that I did not expect to like near as much as I absolutely do. This pistol I got secondhand, and I bought it because I knew I could get it for a really good price and immediately turn around and sell it. I thought I was going to make like $400, $500 off the gun because it is a Springfield TRP Tactical non-operator, so there's no rail and some of the other features that came on the operator, but it is a TRP, which means it is very well assembled, great parts, great fitting. What makes this gun a little bit different than the operator is that it has a Novak rear sight instead of the buried adjustable sight, and different front sight on it. They are all night sights with little white dots on them. That's not something that's on the operator series. No rail, of course, and yeah, the grips that came on, I believe it probably had some G10 grips on it, but as soon as I saw this gun in person, I immediately had this wave of nostalgia when I saw these walnut grips on it, and I started immediately thinking about the old Delta pistols that are in the Larry Vickers 1911 book. If you don't know who Larry Vickers is, go look that up. I don't want to explain it to you. One of the weird things about this pistol is it looks to be decently old, one of the originals out there, because it came with the little blue felt bag that came in with these guns initially, and none of the fonts actually match. The TRP, the Tactical, Model 1911A1, Caliber 45, Springfield, none of the fonts actually match other than the TRPs on the both sides of the back of the slide. So that's a little bit weird. And also, it doesn't have a full rigid guide rod. This is a two-piece guide rod. I've shot it a decent amount, never had any issues with it coming apart or anything like that some people dislike. When I had that wave of nostalgia, immediately I'm like, man, these got to be one of those, looks like just like one of those old Delta pistols. Now, if you know, there's no actual standard on those Delta pistols. They were all custom one-offs, depending on what each operator wanted, but that was the vibe I immediately got from this pistol. And then I shot it and I was like, this thing's not going anywhere. I love it. Trigger is fantastic. The guy originally had some work done to the trigger apparently, or did some work himself, and I ended up sending it over to Paladin Arms to get them to do a little bit of adjustment on that flat spring to make it nice and perfect so that it did not send the hammer home when the slide fell, because that's a little concerning. And as soon as I got it back, I shot it, and you can't not getting rid of this gun. Of course, it's got the good old 20 lines per inch checkering on the front like all the TRPs do. That's one of my favorite things. My buddy Eric says they didn't really do that too many times. He's got some guys that did it, but a lot of times they just use skateboard tape. And that's fine too, but I much prefer these because I like it to really dig in, especially if I'm using gloves. And these full checkered, not with the little double diamonds, but these full checkered grips is something I often saw on any of the photos of the old Delta guns. When I first shot this pistol, I did my Mike Pannone drill. I call it my Mike Pannone drill. It's 5 rounds from 3, 7, 10, 15, 20, and 25, all on a B8, all keep them inside of the black. If I have a photo of that, then I'll put it up, but the vast majority of my rounds were in about a silver dollar shaped size, and then I dropped one out into the white, which is kind of disappointing, but unbelievable for the first time that I actually shot this pistol. Right here I have my M18 that's set up a lot like Randy Shugart's rifle, or what we understand that Randy Shugart's rifle looked like. If you don't understand where that comes from, if you watch Blackhawk Down, that's what most people know it as. I simply refer to it as Gothic Serpent or Battle of the Black Sea from the fight in Mogadishu in 1993. And whereas Randy Shugart and Gary Gordon both gave the ultimate sacrifice to protect what they knew to be a survivor in one of the crashes, and got inserted with no idea of when backup was going to show up. And they both did everything they could and stayed with it until they could no longer fight, and still saved Mike Durant's life. It's one of those stories that's pretty heart-wrenching on how it worked, especially if you got young children that are starting to become a little bit older and start understanding that violence is the thing in this world. It's important for you to tell them heroic men once existed and still do exist. So that's something I've done and I've passed on to my son, and I recommend you guys do the same thing too. So nothing I'm doing out here is disrespectful. This is a tribute to those guys. If you know anything about me, I've got no cool guy background. I've been training with Tier 1 operators, specifically Delta Force guys, as an instructor for years and years. Paul Howe of Combat Shooting and Tactics, got to work with Jim Smith of Spartan Tactical. Both those guys were in that incident. Tom Satterley, I got to do some work with him back in Hurricane Harvey a few years ago, training with them, shooting with them, just hanging with them, and hearing what they've got to say about things. Eric Dornbush of Green Eye Tactical is another Tier 1 guy that I've got to do a lot of work with, and I'm sure I've forgotten a couple others. Larry Vickers, actually, I've got to do some work with too. I got to do some training with him. So that's the reason I decided to bring all this stuff out and include it in the video, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Out.